So now it's factorizing quadratics 2, task 21. It's I said in task 20 I'll say hello to you. So hello, welcome to 21. Um, the it's the same idea. That's why I've put up the same rule. We're looking at numbers. When I multiply them, I'll get the constant. So when I multiply, I have to be getting positive 6, and when I add, I have to be getting minus 5, and that is the difference now. I was supposed to just put the add there, so add, I'm supposed to be getting minus 5. That's the difference now. It's the same strategy, but we need to be careful thinking about how do I get that negative number in wherever it might be. You have this situation where the negative number is in front of x, so the coefficient of x is negative. You have the situation here where the constant could be the negative number. So how do I get negative 24 when I multiply? But when I add, I get... and probably I should do it in a different color now. When I add, I get a positive 2. How do I pull that off? Or the other third type is when both are negative. How do I get that negative 15 when I multiply? And I got to be consistent with my colors. Negative 15 when I multiply. I want negative 15. Don't be thinking 15. Have to include a sign component. And then when I add, how do I get that minus 2? So when I add, how do I get minus 2? That's what I'm thinking about here. Those are our new thoughts. In each case, what has not changed, what remains, is that we are going to have the double brackets with the x. It's our numbers and the signs in front of them. That is what we can't just put the positive signs anymore. So that is the new complexity. I've given you a framework. I've given you questions to think about. I need to change my color, and I'm hoping you've started working on these, trying to figure out, well, what's the missing numbers? What's the missing numbers that go? What do I put? And I have to think about signs. So I have a positive 6, but I need a negative 5. And I'm thinking, okay, 6, how do I get 6? I'll put that in green. How do I get 6? And I'll scroll up a little bit more space here. How do I get 6? That's what I'm thinking for the first one. How do I get positive 6? 6, and I'm 1, 6, 2, 3. And then you need to remember your rules for negative numbers. If I want a positive number, then both signs have to be negative. A negative times a negative gives you a positive. So if I had minus 1 and minus 6, when I multiply them, I will get 6. But I won't. When I add them, if I do minus 1 plus, remember plus and a minus makes a minus. If I do minus 1 plus minus 6, I won't get minus 5. But if I have minus 2 and minus 3, what happens? I know minus 2 times minus 3 is going to give me 6 because the minus and a minus makes a plus. And if I have minus 2 plus minus 3, I'm just going to put it in brackets for clarity. The combination, the effect of the minus and the plus, the signs are different. So it's actually just minus 2 minus 3, which will give you minus 5. Ta-da! Those are the numbers you're looking for. We have x take away, x take away 2, x take away 3. Those are your factors. Those are the missing numbers that we want. And if you expand the brackets on this, you check for yourself, you will get x squared minus 5x plus 6. Let me make some space and we'll do the second one. You have a strategy and you see how you can play around with the signs. This one for number 2, when the constant is negative, and that's the case in number 2 and number 3, the constant is negative, that means one of my numbers has to be negative, one has to be positive. That's the thinking there. So I'm thinking, and I want a positive answer. So what's going to be bigger, the negative answer or the positive answer? Think about that. First of all, 24, and what you want to be thinking about now is which numbers, which factors of 24 have a difference of 2. That's the new thinking. Because if they have a difference of 2 and I get the sign right, then when I add them together, they'll add up to 2. So 124, no go. 212, no. 12 2 is a 24. 8 3 is a 24. There's no difference, no gap of 2. 6 4s, 6 and 4. 6 4 is a 24. Now the thinking begins. Now, one of them has to be negative because I actually need negative 24. I'm upgrading it. I'm upgrading my number, clarifying the idea. It's minus 24. I know I've zoomed in. I want the 6 and the 4. I'm thinking about how I'm going to use that 6. How am I going to use that 4? I want positive 2 when I add them. That means the 6 needs to be the bigger number. The bigger number needs, positive number. What am I saying? The bigger number needs to be positive if you want a positive number at the end of the addition. So it's going to be minus 4 times 6. And I can check minus 4. Let me do my check in green. And let me just separate my screen there. That's my space to do my third question. And what am I saying? I got this. I'm saying that minus 4 times 6 will give me minus 24. As required, and minus 4 plus 6 is going to give me 2. If I start at minus 4 in the number line and I go up 6, I'll get a positive 2. So my numbers, minus 4, 6 is positive 6. That's the factorization there. If you work through that, you will get, if you expand that bracket, you will get x squared plus 2x take away 24. On to the last one. We're thinking two numbers. When I multiply, I have to get negative 15. Then I need to add them to get the minus 2. And I should have fixed that. Remember, it's just the minus 2. The coefficient, the number in front of x is what we're thinking about. Tidying up there is what I'm doing. First, before I get into the negative 15, just think about 15. Factors of 15 that have a difference of 2. We're always in this situation when we have that negative constant. The idea of a difference, the difference between the numbers, the gap between the numbers is more useful to think, because keep in mind that one of the numbers will have to be positive and one will have to be negative. So 1 and 15, nothing I can note. They have a difference is the answer you get from subtraction. They have a difference of 14. Then 3 and 5, and there is where the focus is, because 3 and 5 have a difference of 2. Now I have to ask myself, well, I want negative 2. So which number should I make negative? Should I make the smaller number, the 3 negative, or the bigger number? And if it is, I want a negative answer. That means the bigger number. The 5 has to be negative. In other words, I need to go down more. So I'm going to have negative 5 and I'm going to have positive 3. And I put it in. I'm being presumptuous, I suppose. Let's just double check. 3 times minus 5, we know that's minus 15. The signs are different, so it's negative 15. And if you do the addition, 3, or actually, let me write it the other way. If I start at minus 5 and I add 3, I'm going up, but I'll never get to 0. I'm just going to get up to minus 2, which is what we want. So your factors plus 3 and minus 5. We've just gone through how we modify this idea of what two numbers multiply to get the constant, add together to get the coefficient of x. And we've explored the idea when the signs are not all positive. Okay, and you've got some strategies there. If you need to go over that to see how I did it, what strategies were used, feel free to do so. That's the power of video. But now it's time for you to practice a set of these questions. So let's go and do some dedicated practice. Here are 9 questions for you to try. Yes, 9. This topic, this skill is so important. We need to do a lot of practice to make sure we can ace it when it matters most. So pause, work through these using the techniques demonstrated. I will present the answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's scrolling time. Right, look, slick, slick, slick. The answers are there. Let me just bring them a bit closer so you can see. So on your screen, you should be seeing the questions you did, and all the answers are there. The double brackets to mark your work. Please mark your work with a different color pen. Make corrections as necessary, and then so you pause me. Mark your work. You've marked all your work now. You've paused. You've marked all your work now. What is the threshold for you to move on? 6 on 9. Anything more than 6, if you had greater than 6 or more as your score, then move on to task 22, where things get, we raise the bar. You go into the big one for quadratics. What we start looking at is when the coefficient, when the number in front of x squared is not 1. How do we deal with that? If you did not get 6 or more, then stay on and do 6 more. Bum bum bum. So yeah, if you need more practice on this, you really want to get this skill, try these 6 questions, please. And for two of them I will do my talk through and my thinking process. But try these 6 questions. Pause, have a go. Pause, have a go. Thank you very much for doing that. And then scroll time. Here are your answers, and I'll actually just reduce the gap between them. So here are the answers for you as well. You had more than enough time to freeze your and you have the answers even to mark your work now. Please mark your work. And for 2 of them, which are the ones you're looking at? You have all 6 right? Yeah, all 6. What was that? Oh, number n. Is it n you want me to do? N? Okay, n. What was it? Because of the big numbers, you're thinking n 9/8. 9 times 8 will give you 72, but you want to get negative 17, so minus 9 and minus 8. When you multiply the 2 negatives, you're going to get minus 17. When you add them, your format x minus 9, x minus 8. So that's where that was coming from. Minus 8 minus 9 is in minus 17. And another one, okay, I'll look at O, minus 24. You're thinking factors of 24, and you want a difference of 5. So 8, 1, 24, 2, 12, 3, 8. That's where the 3 and the 8 are coming from. One of them has to be negative, and your choice for negative has to be the bigger number, because the minus 5, to get the minus 5. If you do minus 8 plus 3, you get that minus 5. So that is why the answer is x minus 8, x plus 3. That is quadratics, firmly into grade 6 territory, the kind of techniques you would need. Now let's move on to the kind of quadratics you need to solve if you want to be operating at a higher grade than grade 6. Let's look at the situations where the coefficient of x squared, the number in front of x squared, is more than 1. That is up in task 22.